शुरू किया मिश्रा जी?
से स्टार्ट करो।
हाँ जी, good evening everyone. Welcome to this 10-day long series of data analysis. Data is the today's most important thing in today's world, so it's management. And to take us on this path, we have Professor Asif Rampurawala and Professor Sanjeela Sagar. Since last 10 days, you know them very well. Today they are going to take Excel. Excel is common to most of us, rather all of us, who have been using Excel since long. And how this Excel can be used for data analysis, it is what they are going to brief us. I welcome you, Asif sir, and Madam Sanjeela Madam, and request you to start the session.
Ji, good evening everyone. I would request everybody to go to that link which we had shared earlier and download the files once again. If you have downloaded it earlier, just go to, I'm sharing the link again to everybody for downloading date and the files. So I'm just sharing with everybody, please download it from there again, so that everybody has the same files. The ones which I sent earlier, if you all have already downloaded, please ignore them and use the link again and download the files once again, please. I'm so sorry. File में कुछ technical problem हो गया था. So what I would suggest is that all of you all just download that. तब तक ना, there are some people who are facing trouble, who are unable to join. We are trying to make sure that everybody joins. So, Sanjeela ma'am, आप हैं क्या? Please download only the day 10 folder, which has now approximately 10 or 11 files in it. जब मैंने किया था ना तो उसमें कुछ problem हो गई थी. I had to remove some of the files and again I have uploaded it. So in the link you will find the day 10 folder. Just day 10 folder अभी download कर लीजिए. बाकी के files आप बाद में भी download करेंगे तो चलेगा अगर आपको चाहिए हो तो. वो तो सारे setups थे बाकी तो. Day 10 folder I want you all to download. I'm just checking for the folder. There are some people who have not been able to join. So I'm just trying to check.
That cannot be shared in chat box, no? Link or folder.
I've shared in the chat box. I've shared the link in the chat box, sir.
Okay.
I think it should work in any XLS. It is just I don't need the latest version. Office 365 anything is not required. Office 7 I think should work. I think it should work. I'm just giving 2 minutes for everybody to download it. I think. So what we are going to do today, sir, while everybody is downloading, let me just tell you the brief. The idea was that when we talked about data management, obviously we started, from the MySQL database, and then MySQL database is a open source database as a and the things which we learned was basically we learned SQL syntax, and the SQL syntax is common to it is the language of the database. So SQL is what we say is the language of all databases which we see around this world. Now, because it's a standard language, learning SQL helps us communicate with any of the databases. We learned how to get the data, how to create new data, how to edit data, how to write triggers, how to write, programming language inside the SQL database itself. Then we moved on to something which is actually used for processing data. So the database is where your data actually gets stored, and we learned what we call as the create, retrieve, update, delete operations. But with R, we actually learned how to use the data for taking business decisions, how we can actually use to analyze it, how to predict, how to interpolate, extrapolate data and identify what is missing data, and how we can move towards higher order analytics. So yesterday, if you remember, we even looked at predictive portfolio analysis, and that before that we had done predictive analysis and so on and so forth. After doing so many advanced topics, Excel seems to be a step downwards for if you really look at it, but it is not. Why? Because what we are trying to do today is we are not going to talk about conditional formatting or pivot tables or VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP and all of that. That's not what we are going to do. We are not going to touch a single formula for that matter. Okay, I'm assuming you all are all learned people who use formulas day in, day out, and even if you don't, maybe some other session can be done for formulas if people really want to learn formulas. What we are trying to do today is we're trying to look at specifically some advanced features which are available in Excel for doing our job faster without having to do R programming or without having to write SQL queries all the time. And why we want to do this now rather than before is because we wanted you to understand what all is there, and even there we've just touched the tip of the iceberg. Obviously there are so many things more in R and MySQL which we couldn't have done in a 10 hours of sessions or whatever, 20 hours of sessions for each one of. So what we're trying to do today is we're trying to show you what Excel can do and what Excel is really good at. And I was talking to Mr. Bipin before everybody was joining in, and Bipin sir asked me a very important question. It's like, what about MSMEs? What about SMEs rather specifically? Small and micro enterprises, do they really need to work with R and MySQL, or Excel should suffice? And that's always a good question, right? Like, who should use what? So I always say that if you are an SME, as long as you're not having data to work with which is beyond a certain size, if you can work with that data in an Excel sheet easily, if you have all your data in an Excel format, then you can actually analyze majority of your things in Excel. Obviously, if you remember, Sanjeela ma'am had also shown you how you can pull MySQL data into Excel. So even if your data is in a database, it is possible for us to pull the data and work with the MySQL database within Excel itself. And that's absolutely fine. As long as you can do work with Excel, you should use Excel because it's simpler, easier, and more understood by everyone. However, there are
Asif sir, let me add one line to it,
Please.
that if your data is structured and is in the form of rows and columns, then you use Excel. Then no problem with the Excel,
Yes.
as long as it is structured.
True. And of course, if you have unformatted data in Excel, like I know people can do anything in Excel. People use Excel for a lot of things. Okay. Even in my organization, we use Excel not just for data, but of course, if you put it into a proper structure like a table, okay, then you can work wonders with that kind of data. However, if your data is unstructured and not stored in a proper format, then it will become a problem. Okay, so we will try to see how we can do this. There is a question which I will take up. I think Mr. Siddharth Mittal has asked, what is VBA? Is it related to Excel? So VBA is the technology which allows you to create macros in Excel. Okay, पहले हम लोग macros काफी लोगों ने नाम सुना होगा. That is how you can write or create a program in Excel. VBA, the VB stands for Visual Basic. Okay, now the Visual Basic is a language, a computer programming language, which can be used within an Excel worksheet to write code which you would not necessarily, be able to do in normal Excel, like things which you can't do exactly in Excel on its own. Like the formulas of Excel are limited. You have statistical formulas, you have financial formulas, you have physical, scientific formulas. But what if you want to do something which there is no formula for, or what if you want to do something which is beyond, the standard ribbon mein jo buttons aapko dikhte hain uske bahar ho. If you remember, I told you I had built just before just before the lockdown, I had built a small Excel file which was having code which could read barcodes and log in my staff members in and out. Okay, so their attendance could be marked using an Excel sheet by reading the barcode. Now, reading a barcode, by default, any Excel sheet cannot have there is nothing to do with reading a barcode from a barcode scanner. So to read a barcode from a barcode scanner and take that data into an Excel sheet, I will need to write some code, which I can do in many ways. One of the easiest way is to write a VBA code. Okay, so that is where we start creating things like macros. Or if you want to have a user input screen where data will be entered via a screen, and that data should go into an Excel sheet, then you will use a VBA. Or if you want to print a report which is a little more advanced than the normal charts and stuff like that, then you can use a VBA. Okay. So macros is, yes, nowadays we have something called as a step. Macros can be used to record your steps which you do regularly in Excel. So if you want to record your steps which you want to do in Excel, so that you can repetitively do something. So say for example, आपको daily report आता है. If you receive a daily report in a standard format, and every day you make a pivot table out of it, and then you do some analysis or apply some formulas or whatever, then what you can do is you can record it as a macro and repeat it again and again, so that every day you don't have to waste time doing the same steps. एक बार आपने वो कर दिया, record कर दिया, then you can replay that, and automatically every day जो नया sheet आएगा उस पे वो macro run होके you will be getting an answer. So that is possible. That is a macro. But a VBA is a little bit more. You can actually write code in Visual Basic and then do anything. You can create a graphical user interface for your user to add data or view data or whatever you want to do. All right. So there are lots of things which we can do. Today we have not done a VBA. Maybe if there are people who want to learn VBA specifically, if there are enough requests, then we can definitely offer a small 4-day 5-day program just on VBA, where we can teach you how to create user interfaces and how to create learn the language basically of Excel. So if you want to learn the behind the scenes language, not the front, what you already know, then we can do it as a separate course. Yeah, so the yesterday's presentation, Sanjeela ma'am will be sending it to you at the end of the day. Don't worry. Okay. So please be patient. वो थोड़ा बहुत कभी-कभी रह जाता है हमारा भी. We will send it to you. Do not worry. Okay. Promise is a promise. हम लोग भेजेंगे. That means we will send it. Okay. So now let me start off the day with the topics which we are going to cover. So we are going to do majorly 3 things today, hopefully in time. that is what if analysis, solver, and analysis tool pack. Okay, now the files Excel, I'm hoping that by now everybody has downloaded the Excel files from the internet. If you had downloaded in the afternoon, please download it again, because in the afternoon the files which we sent were actually solved. तो आपको solve करने के लिए कुछ बचेगा ही नहीं उसमें. तो हमारी गलती हो गई थी. We had by mistakenly sent you files which were already solved. So we have resent the files where the questions are rather than the answer. So even if you've downloaded it, कोई problem नहीं है. But again, download it so that you can follow what we are doing. Otherwise, आपको थोड़ा अलग दिखेगा because already answers उसमें उन sheets में थे. Okay, so we will do these three things. Let us start off first with what if analysis. It allows you to try out different values or scenarios for your formulas. Okay, so for this, what I will do is I will directly move to my what if analysis file. Let me just see. पता नहीं WhatsApp web चल ही नहीं रहा है. Okay, so in the drive which I have shared, the link. Okay, so if you click on that link, you would have seen the folder called Day 10. So the first file we are going to use, I have actually numbered it. वो मैंने दोपहर में number करके रखे थे, but अभी numbering रह गए मेरे से. So sorry. So I will show you which file we are working with visually also. So the first file which we will open is what if Excel file. So there is a file called what if analysis. I don't know, my computer is like behaving like super crazy right now. Only the what if analysis file I need to copy back to the numbers file. Sorry. Okay, so if you want, Mr. Harshal, I'll tell you the numbers of the files which are there. You can, if you want, you can number it. Okay, so we will first of all start with the what if analysis. Okay, and then we would move on to goal seek, and uske baad quadratic equation, and uske baad we will move on to, so at least these three you can line them up. Okay, then we'll move on to the solver, and we will then go to capital investment, sensitivity analysis, and uske baad we will do histogram, descriptive statistics, after that we should be doing moving averages, exponential smoothing, correlation, and then regression. Correct? So just start the first file, which is what if analysis. Okay, so enable editing. If you get that option at the top, please enable editing kar dijiyega. Okay, now what we have done over here is, I'll explain. This is a bookstore. Share the WhatsApp. Sanjeela ma'am hai kya? Yes.
बोलो ना सर.
व्हाट्सएप पे शेयर करना पॉसिबल होगा क्या आपसे?
क्या शेयर करना है बोलो ना.
आई थिंक
एक्सेल
ये
फाइल.
एक्सेल फाइल जो मैंने अपलोड की है ना ड्राइव में, हाँ ड्राइव में मैंने अपलोड
हाँ.
की है ना अभी फ्रेश, तो अगर
Okay.
वो आप तक कर सकते बैक पैकेज.
Okay.
ओके,
Fine.
सो संजना आई विल शेयर इट इन द व्हाट्सएप.
Don't give me show my screen. I am sharing it onto WhatsApp. उन्होंने show my screen का दे दिया. Sir is showing the
नहीं
screen.
नहीं नहीं नहीं
Present.
नहीं नहीं, शो माय स्क्रीन मेरा ही रहने दीजिए सर. नहीं नहीं, हाँ एवरीबॉडी माय स्क्रीन इज विजिबल राइट एवरीबॉडी? मैम मेरा स्क्रीन दिख रहा है?
Yes, yes. अभी तो दिख रहा है.
दिख रहा है
This book, yes, bookstore is looking. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm doing is, there is a bookstore example over here where what we have done is we have just as an example. Okay, this is just an example where we have I'll just switch off my video so that everybody can see the screen right. Okay, so we have total number of books which are 100, and now this is our stock, out of which we have an option to sell these 100 books at two different rates. Assume that we have an option of selling them at highest price and lower price. So the highest price which I can get for a book is $50, and the lowest price I can get, I can sell it for $20. Okay, so I can decide कि कितनी books मुझे highest price पे बेचनी है और उसके बाद मैं कब discount चालू कर दूंगा. So suppose I want to sell 30 books at $20, and if I want to sell 70 books at $50. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, that I have 70% of the books. If I want to sell at the highest price, automatically यहाँ पे वो calculate कर रहा है that how many books will be sold. That is 70% of 100 books. तो अगर मेरे पास 100 books की जगह 200 books होगी, so automatically this formula is there to calculate the number of books which will be sold at highest price. So 140 books will be sold, and 60% will be sold, 60 books will be sold at lower price. So ये तो normal basic Excel का formula. I am not getting into that basic Excel formula. You can read it and you can understand. Now these are static values. Static values मतलब ये हमने हाथ से डाली हुई है कि $50 का रेट होगा या $20 का रेट होगा. And depending on this, what we are doing is we are calculating a total. Total is what? 140 into 50. That is highest number of books sold at $50, and number of books sold at $20. उसका addition है. So 60 into 20 plus 140 into 50. ये यहाँ पे हमने दिया हुआ है. You will see the formula to calculate. Now I want to do visualize कि कितनी books मुझे बेचनी है at highest price and what would be my total profit. I want to run multiple scenarios. To run this, what we have done is we've actually added some scenarios already. So we use something called as a scenario manager. Now for this we will go to data tab. ऊपर आपके पास data tab दिखेगा, and data tab में what if analysis का button दिखेगा. So many of the time many people might have seen this button but never used it. So I will click on this what if analysis and I'll click on scenario manager. So when I click on this scenario manager, हम लोगों ने क्या किया है, why we have shared these Excel sheets is we've already created multiple scenarios for you. So there is a scenario for 60%, there's a scenario for 70%, 80%, 90%, and 100%. Okay, what if you wanted to create your own scenario? So what I will do, okay, first of all, okay, let me select an add button. I click on add. Okay, so the scenario name I will give. So let us create a scenario for, let's say 30% highest. Like let's say this is my scenario where 30% of the books are sold at highest price. Okay. Now over here, the value which I want to in my changing cells, okay, is going to be C4. ये 70% की जगह पे मुझे क्या लिखना है वहां पे? अगर मुझे 30% चेक करना है तो I will say that C4 values will change. Okay. Now, do you want protection? Do you don't want protection? वो आपके ऊपर है. That is not an important thing. Comment also is not required. If you get a comment and ठीक है, नहीं है तो भी चलेगा. You click on OK. Okay. Now, when you click on OK, it will say what should be the value of this cell. So, if it's a 30% scenario, the value of this cell will be 0.3. Okay. So, I will select that for 30% scenario, the value of C4 should be 0.3. So, now I have one more. You will see that there is one more scenario which I have just added, 30% का scenario. Now, obviously this वो order में नहीं गया है, तो now 30% comes below 100%. But that's okay. फिलहाल उससे कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Okay. Now what I click on is I want to click on show. So when I click on show, okay, sorry, I'll click on the summary button. Summary नहीं click किया ना, summary button, and I will say where do I want to show the summary. So the summary will be shown in the cell select D10. ये भूल गया था. So I want to show the results of D10. Okay, now D10 is the formula. It will create a scenario summary where it will show me that the current value is 30%. If it is 30% of books are sold at highest price, I will make a profit of 5,800. 60% पे किया तो कितना होगा? 70% पे 70% of the books are sold at highest price तो कितना होगा? 80%, 90%, 100%. तो ये मेरे जितने भी सिनारियोज हैं वो यहाँ पे रन करेंगे. Okay, I'll just do it again once again for you. एक नया Excel sheet में बनता है. Suppose I have this as 60% or let's say I have it as 50%. Currently it is showing me 50%. Okay, this is my current price. But what if I want to run for all the other scenarios? So I will just go to what if analysis, scenario manager. मेरे पास already सारे scenarios set है. I will click on summary, select D10 and I'll click on OK. You will see now that current value is 50%. उस पे मुझे $7,000 profit होगा. But for 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100% and 30% जो मैंने अभी डाला है, what will be my profit in each of those scenarios? All right. Now, what if you did not want to do this? What if आपका टारगेट उल्टा है? आपको प्रॉफिट मालूम है कि कितना प्रॉफिट चाहिए, but you don't know how many books you need to sell at highest price for that profit. So यहाँ पे suppose मुझे अगर चाहिए कि मुझे I want a profit of $6,500. I want a $6,500 as profit. Instead of telling me how many percentage पे कितना मुझे profit होगा, I will try to do reverse. I want to do, I know my profit, how much I want to earn. Tell me how many books I need to sell at highest price. If that is the case, then what we can do is we will go back to the sheet 1 and we'll click on what if, goal seek. Okay. So when you click on this goal seek, you will say set the cell. Okay. So you will select which cell to be set. Over here, I want to set the cell value of D10. ये वाला cell मुझे set करना है. I want to set the cell value of D10, that is my total profit, should be $6,500. ये मेरा target है. Okay, this is what I want to check. That I want to check by changing which cell. I want to change the value of this cell, which is the percentage. I don't know what should be the value over here. कितना percentage of books should be sold at highest price so that my value in my D10, that is my total profit, comes out to be 6,500. I want to calculate in that fashion. If I want to do that and I click on goal seek, I can click on OK and it will calculate that for $6,500 profit, I need to sell 42% of the books at highest price. Now, the problem with 42% of the books at highest price is that the number of books will be 83.33. So, of course, you can't sell 83.33. So, either you sell 84 books or 83 books to be very close to that 6,500 mark. So, you will either sell 83 books or 84 books at the highest price to be nearest to the $6,500 target value. So the target value will be set accordingly. So what have I done? In goal seek, I have tried to decide what my profit is and then try to calculate what should be the number of highest price books to be sold. In the scenario manager, I was deciding what should be the different values of my percentage sold at highest price, and in each of those scenarios, what will be the amount of profit which I earn. So I can do it in both the ways. कभी कभी हमको क्या होता है, we have a target in mind, उसके लिए कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट करना पड़ेगा, या फिर अगर मैं हर साल इतना इन्वेस्ट करूंगा तो मेरा कितना कॉर्पस जमा होगा. Both those, अगर आपके पास एक सिंपल एक्सेल शीट फॉर्मूला एक्सेल है, आपके कस्टमर या कोई भी आपका क्लाइंट आपको पूछता है मुझे सिनारियोज बनाइए कि अगर मैं 5 साल रखूंगा, 10 साल रखूंगा, या अगर मैंने इतना इन्वेस्ट किया या इतना इन्वेस्ट किया, या फिर मेरा रेट ऑफ परसेंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इतना होगा तो क्या होगा. तो बहुत बार हम लोग ये चीजें करते हैं कि वी से दैट अज्यूम दैट वी विल गेट 10% appreciation. Suppose we get 15% appreciation, suppose we get 20% appreciation, or we get 5% appreciation. You can run all those scenarios in a quick analysis using what if. Or ulta, somebody says I want to target that in 10 years I want a corpus of 50 lakhs or 1 crore, and how much amount I have to invest. So if you have the formula ready in an Excel, you can do that using a goal seek. All right. So let me just click on OK. So this is how we do it. Okay. Any questions over here? So that is the projected profit, right? If you tell me how many different options are available, we will predict the projected profit, right? Or depending on how many books you sell. We can round out the number of books right now, but यहाँ पे वो हमारे हाथ में नहीं है ना, because we are doing a goal seek. Goal seek में वो exact 6,500 लाने के लिए whatever it needs to be done, it will do it. Okay. राउंड ऑफ करना हो तो हमारे हाथ में है. यहाँ पे हम लोग अगर राउंड ऑफ फंक्शन डाल देंगे तो राउंड ऑफ भी हो जाएगा. You will see like this. ये राउंड ऑफ हो गया. But that doesn't give you the exact figure. If you look at it, if you multiply it, you won't get 6,500 exactly. Okay, data table. Yes, we will do data table. Don't worry. Okay, so now एक बार मैं वापस बता देता हूँ हमने कैसे किया सिनेरियो मैनेजर. ये 42% पे 6,500 आ रहा है, but what if I want to do it? So I will go to data tab, click on what if analysis, scenario manager, and I will, if I want to add another, I can add. Okay, so if I want, I can click on add, and I can add a scenario manager for, let's say, 10% at highest price. Okay, and for this, again, what values will I change? I will change C4 values. How much will be the value of C4 for 10%? It will be 0.1. Or yeah, 0.0, whatever you want to write it, 0.010. Okay, so that is 10%. So click on OK. Okay, now if I want to give my summary, I will select that the summary will be based on the value of D10. Okay, and the moment I click on OK, you can even try this. You can try the different pivot table report also. You can look at it. That's not a problem. Other options also you can look at. So you will see now 42% with the 16,500 aa hai, but at 10% I will get 4,600, at 30% I will get 5,800, and at the different scenario. So I've added one more scenario. All right. I'll just go to sheet 1. What if analysis? So what if I want to merge scenarios? Okay. So suppose I want to, there is a scenario in summary 2, and so let's say the last one was summary 5 and summary 2. So I can select the scenarios and merge it. Okay, but right now हमारे पास scenarios है नहीं, so we haven't created them. Okay, on your source sheet. So I'll do that a little later. So that's it right now. Let's close this out. Quickly, we'll go to the data table. So now, if you want to save it, you can save it. If you don't want to save it, don't save it. I will open the file called as data tables. Data tables नाम का एक file है. Okay, so I will just rename this as 02 data tables. मैं खाली rename करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, मैं खाली अपने लिए कर रहा हूँ. आपको करना data tables नाम का एक फाइल है, data-tables.xl. Yes. So if you open the data tables, यहाँ पे आपको दिखेगा the same thing, but this time, okay, we are wanting to use all the data. Okay, let me just delete what is over here. I'll delete this. Let me enable the editing first. Enable editing कर दीजिएगा अगर नहीं है तो. Okay. अभी मैं क्या करना चाहता हूँ? I want to create a data table. उसके लिए I have kept 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. ये मेरे scenarios हैं. These are my scenarios. Right? अभी थोड़ी देर पहले जो हम लोग scenario कर रहे थे. Now, currently at 60%, what is my total profit? 3,800. This is my formula, right? यहाँ पे I have done equal to D10. Okay, I will just show you how I've done it. So these are my six. These are just I have written by hand. 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. ये मैंने हाथ से लिखा हुआ है. अब मैं इसके ऊपर कॉलम जो है ना, उसके हेडिंग में मैं क्या लिख रहा हूँ? Equal to this cell. So I want to keep this cell. Okay, and then I want to select. See, I've done this over here. So I've इसके just ऊपर वाले रो में, okay? ध्यान रखिएगा 60% के ऊपर वाले रो में, बाजू के कॉलम में. Now I select this 60% के ऊपर. I'm selecting A12 से लेके 100% तक ये पूरा select कर रहा हूँ. Okay? I want to fill this up with a data table, okay, which will tell me what would happen, okay, in each of those scenarios. So I know right now ये मेरा आंसर है 3800. But 60% पे क्या होगा, 70% पे क्या होगा, 80% पे क्या होगा, 90% पे क्या होगा, 100% पे क्या होगा? I want to calculate that. So I will go to my data tab, click on what if analysis, and click on data table. Everybody, please just do this much first. Okay? पहले आप 60% वहां पे लिखा हुआ था, मैंने वो डिलीट कर दीजिए. $3,800 जो है हमारा वो D10 की वैल्यू है. And then I go to what if analysis and click on data table. So when you click on data table, okay, what do I want to do? I want to calculate only for the input cell C4. So what I will do is only for the input cell C4 column input cell में मैं दूंगा. Row input cell, please keep it blank right now. I will show you row input cell also. But एक मिनट के लिए just click on the second button. Second button means column input cell का जो बटन है ना यहाँ पे, I will click on this and select C4. I will select this C4 cell, yellow color में जो है, the yellow cell, and I will click on this button again. So you should see $C $4 there automatically. So I want to calculate the different, inputs which will come from this 60%, 70%, 80% are the different values of C4. what I want to tell the data table is कि जो मेरी input values हैं वो 60%, 70%, 80% out, और जो मेरी output value है वो मेरा column के ऊपर मैंने लिखा है. When I click on OK, it will tell me कि 60% पे कितना होगा, 70% पे कितना होगा, 80% पे कितना होगा, 90% पे कितना होगा, 100% पे कितना होगा, automatically. Okay? अगर आपको चाहिए तो एक बार वापस करके दिखाता हूँ. Okay, here I write 20%. Just like delete. I will take these rows and I will make it into percentage. Okay, so this is 20%. Percentage करने, I hope everybody knows, you know, I'm just using this percent for number formatting. 30%, 40%, 50%, and 60%. And I give the heading over here 20% के ऊपर equal to ये orange वाला cell मेरा. Orange cell मतलब जो 3800 वाला D10. Okay, so now I want to run the same scenario manager, but I want to do a data table for 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, and 60%. So I will select यहाँ से यहाँ तक, मतलब 20% के ऊपर वाले सेल से लेना है जहाँ पे ये 3800 भी अंदर आना चाहिए. तो ये मेरे इनपुट सेल्स है. I want this to be my input cells. Okay, and I want to calculate it upon this input cell की value कहाँ पे substitute होनी चाहिए? In C4, that yellow cell. So what I do is I will go to my data, click on what if analysis, click on data table, and my input cell will be my column value, right? Column में है ना ये मेरा, column में है. So I will say input cell will be coming from C4. So these values 20% have to be calculated according to this. So now when I click on this, I get $C, $4. I click on OK, and you will see that 20% by how much profit I will get, 30% by how much I'll get, 40%, 50%, 60%. It will automatically calculate. You will see the values have been calculated on its own. Okay, what if I change this to 45%? Automatically the values over here will change. Suppose this is 55%, 65%. Automatically उसकी values change हो जाएगी. Clear? So this is called as one variable data table. जहाँ पे मैंने सिर्फ column change किया है. What if I have two variable data table? Okay. So for this we have another scenario. जहाँ पे I don't only want to change the percentage, but what if the highest price का value ही change करना हो मुझे? So I will again just delete the whole thing. ये जो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है ना ये dollar amount, please delete it. I'm so sorry. वो values already वहाँ पे दिख रही है. Now I want to do it a little differently. Okay, I will. मैं पूरा scratch से करूँ क्या? Maybe that will be better for you. Okay, let's assume there is nothing. Okay, there is nothing. कुछ भी नहीं है. Let's delete everything. So first of all, I want 50%. Control Z. 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, and 90%. अगर ये परसेंट नहीं आ रहा है तो जस्ट चेंज इट टू परसेंट फ्रॉम होम जाके यहाँ पे परसेंटेज साइन ले लीजिएगा. ओके, नंबर फॉर्मेटिंग आई वांट इन परसेंट. Now this time I'm not taking this cell. Here I want to put the values for my highest price. So highest price का book suppose 50% की $50 की जगह पे I want to check another. So what I can do is I will just make it a currency value. Okay, so I will take these are my 50%, 60%. I'll just color them. आपको दिखाने के लिए कलर कर रहा हूँ. कलर करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Okay, so I'll color them in blue, and यहाँ पे I will color them in green. ठीक है, ये cells तो यहाँ पे what I want to do in the green cells, I want to set what should be the price. What should be the price? So I will put it in dollar amounts. Let's say अगर रुपीस में करना है तो रुपीस में भी कर सकते हो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. मेरे पास रुपीस का ऑप्शन है. अगर आपके पास डॉलर का हो तो डॉलर करिए. So I'll say what if my highest price is $40 या 40 rupees, 50 rupees, 60 rupees and 70 rupees. Suppose मेरी बुक्स और मेरे पास ऑप्शन है तो I will put 80 rupees also. Okay, so I will just increase the column size थोड़ा सा. So now I have 50, 60. Now I'll put चाहिए तो अगर आपको फॉर्मेटिंग करनी है तो you can just put टेबल का borders and everything. And over here 50% के ऊपर यहाँ पे I will write equal to ये ऑरेंज सेल. D10 अभी ऊपर आएगा. बिकॉज यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी मैंने कॉलम वैल्यूज मैंने ऑलरेडी सेट कर दिए इन रुपीज. सो नाउ ये मेरा आंसर है 3800. ये मेरा आंसर है. ये मेरा फॉर्मूला यूज करना है मुझे. जो 3800 का फॉर्मूला है ना, आई वांट टू फिल ऑल दीज इन बीच के cells with this formula of 3800 where inputs will change. What if 50% of my books are sold at 40 rupees? What if 60% of my books are sold at 40 rupees? What if 70% are sold at 40? What is 80%? Then similarly, what if 50% of books are sold at 50 rupees? What if 50% of books are sold at 60 rupees? I want all those scenarios to be calculated in one go. In one go, I want all so many these things. So I want two variable data table. So now I will just select the whole thing. Okay. And this time I will click on data, what if analysis, data table, and give the input cell, row input cell as D7. D7 क्यों? Because ये मेरा rupees का values है ना. D7 will take me. वहाँ पे dollar है, but that's okay. This is my value which I want to change in my column. So, sorry, in my row. And in the column, I want to change C4. Okay. So D7 and C4. ये आपको करना है. यहाँ पे row input cell क्या होगा? D7. That is my $50 वाला. And column input cell क्या होगा? C4. ये ऊपर मेरा जो row input कहाँ से आ रहा है? इस वैल्यू से, हाईएस्ट प्राइस से. और कॉलम इनपुट कहां से आ रहा है? यहां पे येलो वाले सेल से. So once I do that and I click on OK, automatically it will tell me what will be the price. Okay, now this price ka format is in dollar. I'll just change it to home and convert it to rupees. Okay, over here also if I want, I'll just convert it to rupees. So everything is now in rupees. $3,800 I just wrote equal to D10. Equal to D10. I just wrote equal to D10. Yeah, D10 is my this cell. This is the most important thing because this cell is giving me the actual formula. तो equal to D10 किया ना, तो ये वाला जो सेल है ना, वो फॉर्मूला देता है कि ये सब वैल्यूज कैसे कैलकुलेट होगी. नहीं तो उसको क्या मालूम कि क्या फॉर्मूला अप्लाई करना है. So if you want to create an amortization chart का एक एग्जांपल, मतलब यू नो कि अगर इतना रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट होगा तो क्या होगा EMI, उतना रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट होगा तो क्या होगा EMI, इतने मंथ्स के लिए होगा तो कितना होगा, इतने मंथ्स के लिए होगा तो कितना होगा. तो on one axis you can have months and one axis you can have rate of interest and you will be able to calculate the entire EMI का scenario for a client in one go in single table. अगर आपके पास फॉर्मूला सेट है तो. Correct? Okay. We'll try to quickly move to the next one. I don't think हमारा time complete हो पाएगा आज. So इसलिए we will just quickly move to the next one, which is, मैम quadratic equation skip करते हैं because I don't think इतना कुछ उसका कोई फायदा होने वाला है.
We can directly jump to analysis tool pack then, because it's
Yes, I
already
think we'll
7.
हाँ,
Yes.
तो we'll first do analysis
And-
tool pack, बाद में solver अगर time मिला तो solver करेंगे, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. More importantly is to do analysis data management में. So let us first learn how to import or how to enable analysis tool pack. So everybody please follow the steps as I say. Go to file. Okay. In the file, you will go to options. फाइल में ऑप्शंस में add-ins. ओके, यहां पे आपको एनालिसिस टूल पैक कहीं पे दिखेगा. अब अनफॉर्चुनेट प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना, मैंने ऑलरेडी एनेबल्ड है, बट आपको एनालिसिस टूल पैक दिखेगा. जैसे यहाँ पे सॉल्वर एड-इन दिख रहा है ना, तो सॉल्वर के लिए मुझे सॉल्वर एड-इन चाहिए, तो वैसे आपको एनालिसिस टूल पैक नीचे लिस्ट में दिखेगा. इनएक्टिव में, एक्टिव में दिख रहा है तो कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं. मेरे इनएक्टिव में अभी सॉल्वर है, अगर if I want I can. MySQL for Excel भी यहाँ पे है मेरे पास. I can do all of, you can enable various things which are there. Later on आप try कर सकते हैं और guidance के लिए. फिलहाल let's do that. Let's work with analysis toolpack. Click on analysis toolpack. जहाँ पे
And
आपको
then
दिखे
click on go. Go. वो मत
Click on this
भूलना.
go button. हाँ,
Mostly
go
people
करना
do
बहुत
is
जरूरी
okay.
है. हाँ, ओके करते हैं तो फिर वो आता नहीं है. You need to first click on go. ओके, अगर गो करोगे तो वो आ जाएगा. तो मैं फिलहाल आपको सॉल्वर से दिखाता हूं, बट आप लोग प्लीज एनालिसिस टूल पैक क्लिक करिए, बिकॉज मेरे पास ऑलरेडी एनालिसिस टूल पैक इंस्टॉल्ड है, इसलिए आपको मैं कुछ दिखा नहीं पाऊंगा. बट सॉल्वर पे आप मैं क्लिक करके दिखा रहा हूँ गो, तो वो आपको बताएगा कि क्या क्या इंस्टॉल करना है. ऐसे एड-इन्स, मुझे एनालिसिस टूल पैक चाहिए, सॉल्वर एड-इन भी चाहिए, जो जो आपको चाहिए आप क्लिक कर सकते हो. आई एम सिलेक्टिंग एनालिसिस टूल पैक एंड सॉल्वर एड-इन एंड आई एम क्लिकिंग ऑन. मुझे दो चीज चाहिए एंड आई क्लिक ऑन ओके. इज एवरीबॉडी विथ मी? मैं यहाँ पे रुकता हूँ, आप लोग ओके करिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. लेट मी जस्ट वेट फॉर एवरीबॉडी. अगर किसी को कोई डाउट है तो आई विल वेट फॉर 30 सेकंड्स एंड देन आई विल क्लिक ऑन ओके.
Yes, they are saying go ahead.
ओके, एक बार ओके कर दिया तो फिर उसको निकालने का किटकिट नहीं करनी है मुझे, क्योंकि कभी कभी जब निकालते हैं ना हम लोग तो फिर वो बराबर से चलता नहीं है. देन आई हैव टू रीस्टार्ट द कंप्यूटर एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, सो आई डोंट वांट टू डू दैट. Okay, now when you click on data tab, आपको डेटा टैब में एंड में डेटा एनालिसिस और सॉल्वर ये दो चीजें दिखेंगी. अगर आपने दोनों सिलेक्ट किया होगा तो दोनों दिखेगा, अगर आपने खाली डेटा एनालिसिस सिलेक्ट किया होगा तो सिर्फ डेटा एनालिसिस दिखेगा. एवरीबॉडी कैन सी डेटा एनालिसिस एट द राइट एट द एंड. Oh yes, my computer is showing low battery. Thank you somebody. मैंने ना भूल गया. थैंक यू गाइस. अच्छा, थैंक यू मिस्टर सागर. आई एम अज्यूमिंग मैं संजीला मैम भी सागर है, बट मैडम आई एम अज्यूमिंग.
आंसर करना कर रही हूँ मैं सबको.
हाँ, ओके, आज आप मेरे रोल में.
Yes.
All right. So now let us move towards, let's use the file which is called histogram. एक file है. We'll start off with a simple example, then धीरे-धीरे we'll take the complex examples. Okay. So first of all, we'll start off with the very simple one, which is histogram. So click on the histogram file if you've downloaded it. मैं पूरा सब बना के रखा है इसमें. So I'll just delete everything. Just delete the histogram, guys. Just select it and delete it. Select, delete. I'm so sorry. Delete. I'm deleting everything. I'm just deleting everything. मतलब sorry. Keep the column A, B and C. उसके अलावा बाकी जो भी है आप delete कर दो. Okay, अभी हम लोग थोड़ा सा टीचर वाला एग्जांपल लेंगे. हमारा फेवरेट एग्जांपल है. You all can do it with some other data also. यहाँ पे very simple I'm keeping, because you can take any column. कोई भी आपका column हो सकता है. In your database कोई भी column हो सकता है. I'm just taking this column which is number of students and I want to do a frequency table. Frequency table आपको याद होगा. Frequency table is where we want to count numbers in a certain range. So what I do is I can give my beginning of each range over here. So I've given my range as 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. These are my beginning values for each of the ranges. Okay, you want any other, you can please feel free to happy to write anything. Suppose I want 45, 45 भी डाल सकते हैं, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. Okay, so 20 से 45 तक, as long as the data should be within that range. Okay, so my data is all within that range. 20 से नीचे कोई है नहीं और 50 से ऊपर कोई नहीं है, तो 45 तक चलेगा. Okay, you can select whatever you want. Now what I do is I will first go to my data tab ऊपर और डेटा एनालिसिस पे क्लिक करूंगा. When I click on the data analysis, I should get an option for selecting histogram. There is 52. मैंने ध्यान नहीं दिया था. Okay, so you can even go up to 55. Right now it will do 45 and above. Okay. Right now it will do 45 and above. So आपके ऊपर है आपको क्या करना है. अब यहाँ पे बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस हैं. I will select histogram. I will select data analysis पे जब आप when you click you will see a lot of options for tools. I will select histogram and I will click on OK. When I click on OK, the first thing I need to do is I need to give my input range. I need to give my input range. Input range is the data which I have. So I will click on this button and select 22 से लेके 23. That means A2 से लेके A19 तक. Please make sure that you don't select anything, like don't select the number of students or anything. From A2 to A19, that is from 22 value to the 23, to 22 से लेके 23 तक मैंने पूरा select किया. This is my input values. And then I select my bin range. Bin range means हम लोगों को इसका frequency के bins होते हैं. So I will select my bin range as C4 to C9. C4 to C9. Okay. And then I will, if I want, I should actually click on chart output. Okay, I want to click on chart output and I will get a chart which will go from range. अभी sorted histogram क्या होता है ना, वो order में जाता है, but I don't want to sort it right now. I want to go according to my bins. So when I go according to my bins, you will see if I click on OK. तो मैंने क्या किया, input range दिया, okay. अगर आपको labels चाहिए तो you can click on labels, उसमें नहीं है, okay, but right now it is not required. And you can click on the chart output definitely so that you get a chart and you click on OK. So the moment you click on OK, you will see a frequency, एक sheet 2 बन जाएगा जहां पे आपका bin values आएगी. So 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 and more than that. So you have these values which will be shown over here for each one of those bins. Okay, so this is anything below 20 up to 20. Then this is 21 to 25, 26 to 30, 36 to 31 to 35, 36 to 40, 41 to 45, and then anything above 45. Anything above 45, दो values उनको मिल रही है. That is 48 and 52. Anything below 20 वो एक ही value था 19. So therefore you got one over here. Up to 20. So you can change the ranges now. अगर आपको चाहिए तो you can write, you can change the name to more readable format. And this is the histogram. So very quickly a histogram is prepared. R में भी हमने देखा था how to prepare histogram. अगर आपको याद होगा तो. Okay, एक बार मैं वापस करता हूँ. इस बार हम लोग legend ले लेंगे. So what we will do is, okay. ओके, अगर आपको हिस्टोग्राम प्रॉपर करना है तो एक चीज हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं, यहाँ पे ना ये फ्रीक्वेंसी ये डिलीट कर देता हूँ. देन आई कैन राइट क्लिक एंड आई कैन गो टू माय फॉर्मेट प्लॉट एरिया. Sorry, I missed it. Okay, I will just go to right click on this and go to format chart area. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll right click on any of the bars and then I should get the format data series option. Okay, any bar पे right click करिएगा, format data series option, and over here the gap width जो है ना 150%, इसको मैं 0 कर देता हूँ. जब मैं 0 कर दूंगा ना, it will become a proper histogram. To become a proper histogram. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गया ना, ये 45 पे 0 है ना, तो बीच के वैल्यू गायब हो गए, इसीलिए उन्होंने 45 नहीं दिया था, उन्होंने 40 and above किया था, ताकि the histogram will be plotted nicely. Okay, I can just increase the height for it to look like a better histogram. That's it. मैंने क्या किया, खाली उसको histogram करने के लिए ना उसकी गैप हटा दी, तो 20 to 25, and the ranges I can change, you know, so I can just make it 0 to 20, okay, 21 to 25, 26 to 30, 31 to 35, 36 to 40, 41 to 45, more than, या फिर just I will write 45 and above, 46 and above. Okay, so that should be just 46 and above, nothing else. So now you have the entire histogram in front of you. This is a perfect histogram. Clear, everyone? मित्तल वो मुझे समझा, इसलिए मैंने आपके इसको चेंज कर दिया. What if analysis नहीं है 2010 version में? I'm so sorry, man. Sorry, I didn't realize that. I have not been using 2010 version for a long time. वो 10 साल पुराना version है. अगर आप use कर रहे हैं तो please change it. Try to get a newer version, please, in Excel. There are lots and lots of things in Office after 2010 which have been updated, which you will not be able to take a benefit if you are using a very old version. The amount of Office which we use nowadays, it is worth paying for the license. Please, guys, if you want, pay the license for Office 365. It's not that expensive anymore. हम बहुत सारी चीजों पे बहुत सारा पैसा वेस्ट करते हैं. Okay, now let us go for the next sheet. Okay, descriptive statistics. We'll go for descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics नाम का एक फाइल है. I have given you descriptive statistics. Okay, so open that file, please. Again, I'm taking any random column. You can take any random column which has numbers. Okay, and you can do this. अगर आपके पास कोई भी database है जिसमें numbers हैं, you can run this descriptive statistics on that. Okay, descriptive statistics is an entire chapter, you know, where you can calculate things like mean, standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, minimum value, maximum value, summation, sum of all the values, and the number of values. ये सब कुछ एक साथ calculate हो सकता है. Okay, how do you calculate it? You know, very simple. यहाँ पे ये सब data है मेरे पास. Some random data I have taken. Don't worry, what are they? They are scores of some game. If you want, you can keep them. If you want to call them stock prices, you can call them the closing prices for any day. तो हम लोग कोई भी कुछ भी ले सकते हैं. This could be Reliance का closing price for the last 10 days, multiplied, not exactly, but in dollars you can say. Now, if I take these values, what I can do is I can go to data analysis. ये हम लोग घड़ी करेंगे कि डेटा पे जाएंगे, डेटा एनालिसिस पे क्लिक करेंगे और इस बार डिस्क्रिप्टिव स्टैटिस्टिक्स. वेरी इजी, वेरी सिंपल. ओके, एंड क्लिक ऑन ओके. इनपुट रेंज, मतलब हमें क्या किसका व्हाट वी वांट टू कैलकुलेट स्टैटिस्टिक्स फॉर व्हाट. सो आई विल जस्ट सिलेक्ट द होल 82 to 98 वाला, यू नो, 82 to 98. क्लिक ऑन दैट. Grouped by columns, yes. is there a label in the first row? I said no, because I've already selected from 82, so there is no label. Do you want to output it to a new worksheet? I said no, I wanted to output the range, output range मुझे यहाँ पे देना है, so I will just give that. I want to print it over here only, so I've just given it G1. Okay, and then what I can do, okay, is click on summary statistics. I want a summary of all the statistics. Okay, बाकी क्या सारी जो चीज है, confidence level and all of that is for people who understand statistics at a higher level. I don't want to get into that, otherwise मुझे statistics का class चालू करना पड़ेगा. But summary statistics is easy. You can just click on summary statistics and click on OK. Okay, so what did I do? Input range दिया. Okay, output range दिया. Columns I've kept as it is. No other change I have done, and clicked on summary statistics. When I click on OK, I get the same values जो यहाँ पे already printed थी, वही यहाँ पे आ गई. This is descriptive statistics. Okay, so I can calculate all these various. आपको याद होगा standard error, standard median, mode, standard deviation, variance, ये सब हमने calculate किया था, if you remember, in R also for our columns. Okay, on demand, I'm just doing this once again. Data analysis, click descriptive statistics, select, click on OK, give your input range as the numbers which are on the left. All the numbers I've selected. Select the output range. This time I select K1. Any value, anywhere you can, empty जगह होना चाहिए उधर. Please remember वो table आने के लिए जगह होनी चाहिए. Or you can click on new worksheet if you don't have any other option. New workbook करेंगे तो दूसरा एक नया workbook बन जाएगा, नया file बन जाएगा. So don't do that at least. Summary statistics, click on summary statistics and click on OK. If you do that, you will get your mean, median, mode, and everything. Okay. So descriptive statistics समझ में आ गया. These are what we call as the various things which come under descriptive statistics. अगर आप statistics का कोई भी book उठा के पढ़ेंगे, so these are the things, these are the topics which are covered under descriptive statistics. Of course, the meaning of them will be explained in that book much better. So I hope everybody knows what are they. If they mean, median, mode, standard error, ये सब क्या है आपको पता होगा. नहीं पता है तो क्या करें मैम, अभी तो टाइम नहीं है ना. We won't be able to get into the statistics part. Okay, let's move forward because as promised we need to cover a lot of things. Now something which will be interesting to you probably. Let's do something called as moving averages. What is moving averages? Okay, so this is a moving average. ये हम लोगों ने इसमें यूज किया था. This is used in, this is one of the basic steps in financial analysis for various things. Interpolating, extrapolating data, इसमें काफी कुछ यूज आता है. Predictive analysis में भी इसका काफी यूज है. अरीमा जब हम लोग ने किया था ना, तो अरीमा में MA stands for moving average. So now what is this moving average? I'll again enable the moving average file. Please everybody open it. Okay, I'll just take this chart and put it on the side right now. Okay, so what we have, so ये हमारे period है 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This could be any month, year, कुछ भी हो सकता है हमारा period. It could be the, 0 could be January, February, March, April up to December, या फिर March, April, May, June to March, April to May, जैसे भी आपका financial year हो, कुछ भी हो, you can write that. So those are my period, and in that I have the actual price or actual stock price of that stock. Okay, which has moved up, or it could be the actual sales जो हमारा बढ़ते गया है over the period. So now if my sales has kept increasing, okay, has my growth increased or not? So what I can do is you can calculate a moving average of a time series. Okay, so time series में क्या होता है, आपका average बढ़ रहा है घट रहा है वो आपको पता चलता है, अदरवाइज तो ये लीनियरली ग्रोथ दिख रही है. ओके, एक्चुअल में. सो एक्चुअल जो हमारा है वो बढ़ रहा है घट रहा है, वो दैट इज ओके. समटाइम्स वी गो अप, समटाइम्स वी गो डाउन, बट व्हाट इफ आई वांट टू कैलकुलेट द मूविंग एवरेज? ओके, so for this, okay, let us delete the intervals first. Let me delete खाली ये, पहले मैं खाली पीरियड और एक्चुअल रखता हूं. तो यू विल सी इन माय ग्राफ, दिस इज माय एक्चुअल डेटा. This is currently my actual data. There is no, forget about what are these intervals right now. Let us just say this is my actual data. So my actual data has this blue line which shows these values कि मेरा stock price किस तरह behave कर रहा था. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to calculate the moving average. Okay. तो किसी भी टाइम सीरीज डेटा में यूज किया जा सकता है टू फाइंड स्मूथ आउट द इरेगुलरिटीज ऑफ पीक्स एंड वैलीज, टू रिकॉग्नाइज ट्रेंड्स. हमें ट्रेंड्स बताता है वो. ओके, सो ट्रेंड एनालिसिस करने के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है टू यूज मूविंग एवरेजेस. तो ये ट्रेंड एक्चुअली अपवर्ड जा रहा है कि नहीं वो कैसे देखना है? तो व्हाट वी विल डू इज विल गो टू डेटा, क्लिक ऑन डेटा एनालिसिस, अगेन नाउ सिलेक्ट मूविंग एवरेजेस. Okay, so यहाँ पे we will see moving average. Click on OK. So when you click on moving average and click on OK, you need to give an input range. So now obviously my input range मैंने already select करके रखी है, but I will select it once again. I will select it from B2 to B11. ये मेरा input range. Okay. Now I want to give my interval. So what is the interval which you want? Interval means let's start with the basic interval of 2. Let's say we want to start with the interval of 2. Okay, and my output range, okay, I will start at B3. ये B3 यहाँ से मेरा output range start होता है. So I want to calculate the average. Average, moving average का मतलब क्या होता है? 2 का मतलब है, if I'll just show you. Okay, click on B3 and I'll just click on OK. ये ना average calculate करता है between the first 2 months. 120 and 150 का average is shown over here in 135. 150 and 240 का average is shown as 195. 240 and 550 का average is shown as 390. 540 and 210 का average is shown as 375. This is what we call as moving average. So we calculate the moving average of the consecutive 2 months, this month and the previous month. So 135 is the average of month number 1 and the previous 2, assuming that these periods are months. Okay, if they are not, then it would be something else. Okay, so यहाँ पे हम लोग कुछ भी change कर सकते हैं. We can just write Jan, Feb, March. It is okay. So suppose I want Jan, Feb, March, April, May.
ड्रैग कर लो आ जाएगा. आई थिंक
हाँ एक्चुअली आ जाएगा. मैं भी क्यों फालतू में लेकर आता. So we can just take it. Okay, and over here. So now what if I want to calculate an interval of 4? Interval of 4 कैसे calculate करेंगे? Same thing, data analysis, moving average. Okay, input same रहेगा, but interval will become 4, and I will select my output range as B4 now. नहीं तो B3 पे करूंगा ना तो इसके ऊपर overwrite हो जाएगा. तो I will select B4 वाला line. Okay, and B4 वाला line पे click करके I will click on OK. So what will happen? Now it will calculate the month, the average of April, March, Feb and Jan. 4 महीने का average is 263. तो पहले 3 महीने का एवरेज निकलेगा ही नहीं, बिकॉज मार्च के लिए उसके पहले के 3 मंथ है ही नहीं हमारे पास, मतलब प्रीवियस ईयर का दिसंबर का डेटा नहीं है. होता तो ये वैल्यू आती. नाउ यू विल सी अप्रैल का एवरेज इज कैलकुलेटेड एज द एवरेज ऑफ जैन, फेब, मार्च एंड अप्रैल. मई का moving average is calculated as February, March, April, May. Similarly, June ka average is calculated as March, April, May, June. Okay, so this is my, so now what you will see, what is the difference between the two? So agar aap dekhenge, interval 2 is that orange line and the interval 4 is that gray line. The gray line जैसे जैसे होगा ना, आपके जो valleys और peaks है ना, वो smooth होते जा रहे हैं. We are trying to find the trend. So rather than that up down बहुत हो रहा होता है ना, तो we can't find what is happening sometimes. कि क्या actually हो रहा है. So when you take actual data, we don't find it. But when you take a moving average with different intervals, आपको trend समझ में आने लगता है of your data. So one more time we will do it. The last time which was with interval of 6. So what we will do is again click on data analysis, again click on moving averages, again click on OK, select the same data, this interval, but this time B4 की जगह पे I will write it as B5. Next row. And I click on OK. So this time the interval is, instead of 4, I have to keep it as 6. So interval मेरा change हो जाएगा 6, output range will be B5 and I click on OK, and this time you will see the पहला एवरेज जून से स्टार्ट होता है बिकॉज जैन टू जून का एवरेज आया है 6 मंथ्स का. फिर जुलाई, so you will see the last yellow line. Okay, if I remove interval 2 and interval 4 ka data, if I just delete it from here, you will see this is the, it's a very comparatively a much smoother line. It is showing me that upward trend in my analysis. So this is actually showing me the trend, what trend is happening. Okay, that my data is moving upwards, that my stock prices are moving upwards. तो ये जब ऊपर नीचे बहुत हो रहा होता है ना, तो to make sense of it, you generally do use moving averages. ग्राफ्स में बहुत अच्छी तरह से वो समझ में आ जाता है, इसलिए I've plotted a graph also. ओके, तो डिपेंडिंग आपके टाइम सीरीज एनालिसिस के लिए डेटा कितना है. अगर आपके पास बहुत सारा डेटा है, 3-4 साल का डेटा है, तो आपको बेटर एनालिसिस मिलेगा. ऑलवेज टाइम सीरीज एनालिसिस के लिए the number of data points have to be much higher. The more the data points, you will be getting a much better analysis. Okay, so this is smoothing of curve using moving averages. There is another something called as exponential smoothing. Exponential smoothing. So exponential smoothing क्या होता है? Okay, it is also applied to time series analysis, but it is considered slightly better in cases in comparison to the moving averages example. So there are multiple techniques which are applied, and with experience you learn which technique to use for which kind of data. वो थोड़ा experience की बात है, but at least पहले technique तो सीख लेंगे. So again, we have the same data. I will just delete the alpha values. I'll enable editing first. Okay, again I'll move the chart to the side so that after interfere na kare, I will delete the data and keep this ready. Again, Jan, March. आपको करना है तो कर सकते हैं, नहीं करना है तो don't worry about the days, months. That you can keep them as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 also. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता उससे. Now, for exponential smoothing, we don't have an interval concept. Okay, उसका formula एक है, but अभी फिलहाल वो formula में मैं नहीं जाऊंगा. Okay, how the chart is created? Okay, you can normally जैसे आप chart create करते हैं Excel में, वैसे आप select करेंगे और chart बनाएंगे तो बन जाएगा. Another option I'll tell you how to do it. 2 मिनट दीजिए मुझे. Okay, दोनों में moving average में भी और इसमें भी कैसे बना सकते हैं. So what I will do is I'll click on data analysis. Okay, and here you have exponential smoothing. Okay, you select exponential smoothing, click on OK. This time again I have to give the input range very similar to the moving average example. The only difference is interval की जगह पे, okay, we have to specify the damping factor. Now the damping factor is 1 minus alpha. Okay, कि आपको कितना डैम्पिंग करना है. Okay, so 1 minus alpha मतलब अगर मेरा alpha 0.1 यहाँ पे मैंने लिखा हुआ है ना, तो my damping factor is 0.9. 1 minus alpha 0.9. ये क्या है आपको मैं explain when I show you the graph. I will show you explain you the exact thing. So my damping factor is 0.9 and my output range starts from B3. Input range मैंने दे दिया है ना, B2 to M2, and my output range starts from B3. That is for alpha 0.1. That is my damping factor 0.9. अगर मुझे चार्ट चाहिए तो I can click on the chart output. Click over here, you will get a chart. Already मेरे पास चार्ट है इसलिए मैंने क्लिक नहीं किया था. But if I want to have a new chart, if the chart does not exist, then I can click on this chart output and click on OK. So the moment you do that, यहाँ पे ये आपका प्लॉट हो जाएगा और ये आपका एक्सपोनेंशियल स्मूथिंग का चार्ट बन जाएगा. Okay, the same thing is here without that data points being marked. That's okay. The same graph is here. आपको ये ग्राफ यूज करना है, वो ग्राफ यूज करना है, आपके ऊपर है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Okay, so the chart was already there. So if you want the chart, you can click on the chart output and you will get the chart. So you will see that the damping factor is 0.9. So उसका smoothing कितना fast हो गया. अगर आप damping factor कम करेंगे तो smoothing कम होगा. That means the alpha, if it is low, smoothing ज्यादा होगा. Alpha अगर बढ़ेगा तो smoothing कम होगा. उसी तरह damping factor, because it is reverse of alpha, it is directly proportional to the smoothing. Damping factor is directly proportional. Alpha is inversely proportional. So I repeat one more time. For alpha 0.3 करने के लिए क्या करेंगे? And data analysis, exponential smoothing, okay. Select the data, select the damping factor. I will select as 0.7 because 0.3 alpha है ना. I will select my damping factor as 0.7. B3 की जगह पे I will select my output range as B4. चार्ट वापस एक और बना, ऑलरेडी दो चार्ट मेरे स्क्रीन पे दिख रहे हैं तो तीन चार्ट की जरूरत नहीं है. So I will remove this chart output and click on OK. So the moment I click on OK, okay, you will see that यहाँ पे ये चार्ट आ गया. अब यहाँ पे ये चार्ट नहीं आया because इसका डेटा सीरीज में ये हमने लिया नहीं. अगर मैं इसको इंक्लूड कर दूंगा इस चार्ट में तो ये भी यहाँ पे भी ये लाइन दिखने चालू हो जाएगी. The gray line, if you can see. So the gray line is less smooth compared to the orange line because the orange line was alpha 0.1 and the gray line is alpha 0.3. Similarly, if I want for 0.8, I can use data analysis. Click on exponential smoothing, click on OK. Smoothing factor or damping factor of 0.2, very less damping. Output range as B5. Do not have a chart because already there are two charts. Click on OK. And you will have. Only thing is the first value will not be plotted because उसको plot करने के लिए at least दो data तो चाहिए होता है. तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है, damping factor you can give without losing multiple. वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा था, interval देने में you know you lose the first 6 elements. First 6 elements का you 6 interval equal to 6 में first 5 elements के लिए average नहीं आ रहा था. यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं होता, खाली first element के लिए average exponential value नहीं आती, बाकी सबके लिए आती है. So you will see the yellow line is matching very much with the blue in the sense it is just lagging the blue line, but it shows the same upward and downward movement. Okay, if I just remove this alpha 0.1 and 0.3, then you will see the yellow line and the blue line. Yellow line is just mirroring the blue line, but with a lag. ऐसा पीछे चल रहा है, but उसकी peaks थोड़े कम है, valleys थोड़े कम है compared to blue, but it is showing a very similar output. So if I want to really smoothen it, I should have a small alpha value. Okay, so with 0.1 I get the best result, but depending on the data, as I said, you know, you will have to learn how to work with it. So I'm just showing you different options, so you can keep whatever graphs you want. So alpha equal to 0. I've changed the names and everything in my graph. That is why I showed you this one, which is much simpler. I'm not teaching you how to work with charts. वो Excel में सबको आता ही होगा. So I don't really want to bother about it. All right. अब दो बहुत important statistical concepts पे जाएंगे, which is correlation and then regression. ओके बहुत आप डेटा एनालिसिस या डेटा एनालिटिक्स कभी भी आप पढ़ेंगे ना, तो all these big people talk about regression analysis and so on and so forth. होता क्या है ये correlation या regression? So we will just have a look at it if people who don't know can follow. Okay, as I said, alpha or the dampening factor is basically how are you going to smoothen that curve. उसका जो फॉर्मूला है is based upon on one particular variable called as alpha. तो उसका पूरा एक फॉर्मूला है सर, एक्सपोनेंशियल स्मूथनिंग का एक पूरा एक फॉर्मूला है. Okay, if I want, I can just exponential. Okay, so it is a rule of thumb technique for smoothing time series data using exponential window function. ये जो window function है उसके अंदर the formula uses the value for alpha. X हमारा input है and this alpha is used to smoothen. Now alpha is okay how we calculate. Now इसके लिए थोड़ा statistics पता होना चाहिए, इसलिए I am not getting into it. Okay, so we use this in various analysis including signal processing. Signal processing में हम लोग क्या करते हैं ना, इसको noise reduce करने के लिए भी use करते हैं. मतलब noise मतलब you will be surprised that the same formula is also used in sometimes in your headphones. जो noise cancellation headphones आते हैं ना, तो noise में क्या होता है, बहुत जो high frequency या low frequency वाले sound होते हैं वो आपके लिए noise होते हैं. So to avoid that in your we use something called as a filter, and some of the filters which they use can use things like exponential smoothing to smoothen your music, ताकि आपके म्यूजिक के अंदर कोई नॉइज ना आए इन योर ईयरफोन. तो जो हाईली बहुत एक्सपेंसिव आप हेडफोन्स खरीदते हैं उनमें ये सब चीजें आते हैं. हम लोगों ने अरीमा ऑलरेडी किया हुआ था, इसलिए आई वांटेड टू शो यू द मूविंग एवरेज, एंड देयर इज आल्सो समथिंग कॉल्ड द एक्सपोनेंशियली वेटेड मूविंग एवरेज, EWMA. ओके, सो ऑटो रिग्रेसिव भी है. और so these are two which are very popular techniques for predictive models which we have. So I showed you moving averages and the exponential smoothing. They are used in time series analysis quite a lot. Okay, so next Excel file which we will open is correlation. There is a file called correlation. Please open the correlation Excel file. Enable editing. Okay, अब यहाँ पे ना हमारे पास I just चाहिए तो what I will do is I will delete the chart. I will delete this table below. मेरे पास 3 variables हैं. Assume that these 3 variables are not variables but stock prices. Let's say Reliance. Okay, any other अगर हमें लेना हो तो say let's say मुझे सॉरी बहुत सारे स्टॉक्स के नाम नहीं मालूम, तो BHEL and another let's say Pfizer, I don't know, just मेरे दिमाग में जो कंपनी आ गई है. So suppose we have 3 stocks and उनके prices हमारे पास हैं या उनके stock prices हमारे पास हैं, and we want to factor कि क्या वो correlated है, क्या उनके बीच में कोई correlation exist करता है. Correlation का मतलब क्या होगा, that Reliance का stock price does it depend upon Pfizer's stock price or so on and so forth. Okay, now in that case these are numbers are not matching stock prices, but you can use actual stock prices if you want. Okay, what if I want to any kind of series, okay, any kind of series, क्या you know pharma का sales या you can compare it, you know, BSE with gold and commodities market. आपको, you know what, you have 3 series which you want to check कि क्या they are correlated, not correlated, inversely correlated, क्या है वो we will have to see. Okay, so what we will do over here is now I will select this, click on data analysis, and then go to correlation. I want to calculate correlation. The input range, I select the whole thing, including the name of the columns. Okay, and I select that there is name of labels in the first row. Labels in the first row मतलब column के नाम first row में है. Okay, and then I select the output range. Let me say the output range मुझे output यहाँ पे चाहिए A10 में. Okay, and I click on OK. तो ये मुझे कैलकुलेट करता है correlation of BSE with BSE will always be 1. Why? Because they are 100%. Everybody is auto correlated. Everything is every value observation is auto correlated. मतलब BSE खुद के साथ तो उसका 100% correlation होगा. गोल्ड का अपने आप के साथ, कमोडिटीज मार्केट का अपने आप के साथ, वो तो 1 1 1 आना ही चाहिए. डायगोनल वैल्यूज विल ऑलवेज कम 1. Is BSE correlated to gold? Is BSE correlated to commodities? So the answer is that BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, is inversely correlated to gold because ये value बहुत कम आ रही है. Okay, but Bombay Stock Exchange is very closely correlated to commodities. 90% आ रहा है उसका value. Okay, if I want, okay, I can just select this and say insert chart. Yeah. बराबर? Why am I unable to chart it? Right click, format data series. Select data. Sorry, मेरा starting कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो रहा है. Input range contains non-numeric data. Sir, अगर आपने लेबल पे नहीं किया, I do an, okay, you want me to chart this? Okay. Here, what happens is the gold price, okay, peaks when the BSE sinks. and the gold price sinks when the BSE and commodities, peak. So therefore, it shows an inverse correlation. Whereas ye dono, blue and gray lines peak and fall together. Therefore, Bombay Stock Exchange and commodities show a 90% linking correlation with each other. Whereas the relation of gold with commodities is only 10% or 11%, and Bombay Stock Exchange and gold is only 20%. So they are inversely correlated. ओके तो जितना वो जीरो के नजदीक आएगा वो इनवर्सली कोरिलेटेड हो जाएगा, जितना वो 1 के नजदीक आएगा वो पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड हो जाएगा. तो पॉजिटिवली कोरिलेटेड नेगेटिवली कोरिलेटेड हम लोग कहते हैं. क्लियर? Any questions regarding correlation? So this correlation is a good technique to identify dependent and independent variables, whether the variables are dependent on each other. So I can say that commodities and Bombay Stock Exchange have some kind of dependency, and the how much of dependency and what not we can calculate. Okay, and उसमें regression analysis हमें काम आता है. Okay, so we can use regression analysis to do a bit more than what is expected in correlation. So now let us open a slightly most complicated one. तो अभी थोड़ा सा हमारे लिए सर नॉन न्यूमेरिक डेटा का अगर एरर आ रहा है ना, मींस आपने जो व्हाट यू हैव डन इज मे बी व्हेन यू सिलेक्टेड दिस डेटा एंड यू वेंट टू डेटा and clicked on data analysis and clicked on correlation and clicked on OK, make sure this labels in the first row has been selected. If you have not selected this checkbox labels in the first row, you will get an error. If I don't select this labels in the check, I'll get an error that input range contains non-numeric data. If I click on this labels and select my output range, whatever over here, you'll see you'll get the output. Okay, so now everybody open the regression file. We have not dropped it. We are just completing the more important data management parts. I want to do capital investment. Hopefully, we'll have time. We will cover it. Just give me 2-3 minutes. I'll try to come to capital investment also after we do regression. I know capital investment everybody would be interested in, so I'll definitely come to that and after regression. Just give me 5 minutes. Maybe a little more than 5 minutes. I hope everybody is okay with me extending a little bit of your time today, because unfortunately this is the last day, so we can't postpone the topic for next. So we will try to cover as much as I can. People can be free to be there. All right. Now, what we are doing now is over here. First of all, I will delete everything below the table. Okay, summary output से जो भी है ना वो मैं delete कर देता हूँ पहले. Let me not show anything to you. Okay, chart मैं साइड पे रख देता हूँ, अगर रखना है तो वो भी डिलीट कर देते हैं, बेटर है. Let me just delete everything. Delete cells entire row. Okay, everything is deleted. Now this is very simple table which I have. Quantity sold, price, and advertising. Okay, in any company, marketing team always is fighting for more advertising budget, and the sales team is always fighting also for competitive pricing, because the sales teams always feel the sales are happening because of their efforts. Marketing team always feels that the profit is increasing because of their efforts, and both are always fighting for the budget, and reducing the cost, reducing the price impacts the bottom line. Increasing the advertising spend impacts the bottom line. How do you take a decision as a CEO of a company, or as a proprietor of a company? How can you take a decision? So what if I have historic data? I have this historic data saying that when the price was $2, the quantity sold was 8,500. At that time, we had spent an advertising budget of $2,800. When with the price of $5, I had spent an advertising budget of $200, and I had made quantity sold was 4,700. Profit यहाँ पे नहीं दिया है, but quantity sold is a good indicator of, once we know the price, how much profit and all of that you can calculate. But these are the three independent values. Kitne quantity बिके is dependent on, we are saying, assuming that our assumption is that it depends on the price of the product and advertising of a product. Now, how much of is it dependent or not dependent? ये हमें calculate करना है, because both the parties, marketing people and the sales people, are fighting over it. So now, how do you do this? Okay, so for this we use something called as regression analysis. So what we do is we will go to data again, data analysis. You must have guessed it by now. And this time we will select 100 marks for guessing it right, regression. So we will select regression, click on OK. The input Y range which we are going to give. So Y is my output of what I'm going to predict. So I want to predict कि कितना sales होने वाला है. So to predict sales, I will select the A row. That is how much sales I will have is in my A row. So I will select the A1 to A8. So $A1 to $A8 is my Y range. Y, always remember, is the output. Okay, in mathematics we say Y is equal to f of x. Function of x is Y. So that means output is Y. Now I want to find out X range. X range मतलब हमारा input. हमारे दो वेरिएबल्स है, एक x नहीं है, हमारे पास दो x है, एक प्राइस है और एक एडवर्टाइजिंग है. सो वी विल सिलेक्ट बोथ ऑफ देम, प्राइस ओके एंड एडवर्टाइजिंग. पूरा दोनों कॉलम पूरी तरह से सिलेक्ट करेंगे. सो दैट विल गिव मी B1 to C8. ओके, अब ऑब्वियसली यहाँ पे ऊपर जो है ना वो पहले रो में लेबल्स हैं, तो आई विल क्लिक ऑन लेबल्स. प्लीज एवरीवन रिमेंबर टू क्लिक ऑन लेबल्स, बिकॉज मैंने पूरा सिलेक्ट किया था ना, A1 to A8 and X range में B1 to C8. So the A1, B1, C1 are labels. That is my quantity sold, price and advertising. So they are my labels. So please select that. Okay. Now the confidence level by default is 95%. If you want to change that confidence level, you can change it. Now what is confidence level? Is how confident I want to be about my data. Okay. So confidence level depends on how much data I have and all of that. So you can work with it, or if you are understanding how to change it. Statistically, everybody is comfortable with 5% error. Statistics में 5% error is considered a good benchmark. So standard, we say confidence level is nothing but how much error you want to. So error अगर 5% का है, मतलब मेरा confidence level 95% का है. Okay, so कुछ लोग error बोलते हैं, कुछ लोग confidence level बोलते हैं, बात एक ही चीज की कर रहे हैं, खाली they are inverse of each other. कि अगर error 5% है तो confidence level 95% है, और confidence level 95% है मतलब error 5% है. Okay, now the output range I want to give as any value. You can select anywhere. जहां पे भी आपका output print करना हो, मैं A11 पे print कर देता हूँ, just for my understanding. So A11, you select any range जहां पे वो print हो जाएगा output उसका. And I also want to print something called as residual and residual plots. I will select those two things. I want the residuals and I want to plot the residuals. क्या है ये सब? I will just show you one by one. यहाँ तक everybody should be with me. Y range दिया है, A1 to A8, X range is B1 to C8. Labels I have clicked. Output range, you select any empty cell on your sheet anywhere, it's okay. No restriction. Select residuals and residual plots if you want to. Okay, not a compulsion, but it is better if we will just click on it and we will give OK. The moment I give OK, I get this. Okay. First thing which we need to look at is this value. I will color it in yellow. It is called the R square. बहुत सारी चीजें print हुई हैं. Let me not get into the entire thing. Let me just talk about this R square. So this R square tells me how good a fit it is. हमने बोला था 95% हमें confidence चाहिए. यहाँ पे I have received there are two graphs. I will explain them later. Just give me 2 minutes for the graphs. थोड़ी देर में आता हूँ मैं. Okay. R square में you get 96%. This 96% is a good confidence that the variation is, 96% of variation is there in quantity sold is explained by the independent variables price and advertising. अगर ये value बहुत कम आती है, that means price and advertising, what effect they are having on the quantity being sold, we cannot judge. पहली चीज तो ये है कि are we finding an dependency of price and advertising on the quantity sold? So that first answer is yes, because the 96% value of R square indicates that price and advertising are the correct attributes which we are looking at. Because जब हम लोग डेटा देखते हैं ना quantity sold का, बहुत सारे attributes हमको मिल सकते हैं. 40-50 attributes आपके डेटाबेस में होंगे. हमको फिल्टर करना होता है डेटा एनालिसिस करते वक्त कि कौन से 2 एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं या 3 एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं जो एक्चुअली इफेक्ट कर रहे हैं हमारे सेल्स पे. तो व्हाट आई हैव राइट नाउ ऑफ कोर्स करेक्टली आइडेंटिफाइड, बट टू प्रूव दैट दे आर करेक्ट आई नीड टू चेक द आर स्क्वायर वैल्यू. अगर आर स्क्वायर वैल्यू गलत आ रही है, दैट मींस आई नीड टू ईदर ऐड सम कॉलम और डिलीट सम कॉलम. मे बी आई नीड टू लुक एट सम अदर वेरिएबल्स. ओके, मे बी एडवर्टाइजिंग या प्राइस को निकाल के चेक करना पड़ेगा, कुछ और डाल के चेक करना पड़ेगा वेदर दे आर वैलिड. It will also telling me how much error, standard error is there. That is okay. That is not very important right now. And observation. Standard error is different from the error which I said 5%. वो वाला error नहीं है ये कुछ और है. Now there is something called as ANOVA analysis. हम लोगों ने अलग से नहीं किया. ANOVA अलग से कर सकते हैं. In data analysis tool pack, ANOVA का separate option भी दिया है. F test है, P test है, T test है, बहुत कुछ है. We are not doing any of those. I'm directly looking at ANOVA values, and here I want to find the significance of F. This value. This F value tells me कि जो हमारा result है, is it reliable? Okay, so if this value is less than F, should be less than 0.005. If F value is less than 0.005, then we say that statistically हमारा significance अच्छा है. That means the results which we will get are reliable. Now you get 0.001, which is far less than 0.005. Therefore, we can definitely say that the result is reliable. Okay. बाकी सारी सब चीजें मैं explain नहीं कर पाऊंगा because they're all statistical values. I'm sorry, पूरा statistics का class run नहीं करना है. I tried it once with one batch, I remember, and they had gone crazy because they, बोले हमको statistics नहीं आता, हमको statistics नहीं पढ़ना है. So I will not get into that. But what you should look at when you do regression analysis, कुछ important चीजें होती हैं जो देखनी होती है. पहला है R square. Okay, R square should be 0.95% के आसपास या उससे ज्यादा, 95.95 or more. Sometimes it is okay to have up to 0.9 also. So it's not always possible. So I will just write 0.9 or more. Okay. All data will not give you that answer. But 0.9 or more, we can say it is, a good value to have for R square. You can have confidence. Okay. So it's a good fit. Now, your P values जो है, ये हमारी P value है. Okay. These P values should be very close to, they should be very, very small. Okay. Normally these P values have to be very, very small. So क्या ये small है? Price के लिए बहुत small है, advertising के लिए बहुत small है, intercept के लिए small है क्या? So this answer is that it is very small because it is e raised to minus 0.5. It is 0.0002498. So ये actually 2.4 दिख रहा है, but 2.4 नहीं है. So these p values should be small. These p values have to be small. What does it indicate? Okay, it indicates again the same thing. Okay, that if the f value is greater than 0.05 or if the p value is greater than 0.05, okay, then we should rerun the regression with some other variables. F और P ये हमारे दो इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स हैं जो चेक करते हैं कि वेदर हमारा सब कुछ बराबर चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा. Now regression analysis क्या करता है ना, it tries to predict using some formula. I will explain, sir. I will explain everything. जरा थोड़ी देर मुझे जरा एक करके मुझे बताने दीजिए क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है, बाद में I will come to your question. Okay. It tries to predict what is the formula for calculating the quantity sold. So I want to calculate the formula for quantity sold. Now, how do I calculate the formula for quantity sold? So I can look at this table and I can calculate the formula for any quantity sold. ये regression analysis ना एक formula create करता है, एक mathematical formula create करता है. That the mathematical formula for calculating the amount of quantity sold, okay, is equal to this, okay, plus this into 2 plus 0.59 into 20. Okay, I'll just tell you what. Okay, so ये जो तीन वैल्यूज होती है ना, ये हमारी होती है, एक होता है प्राइस का कर्व, एक होता है एडवर्टाइजिंग का कर्व और एक होता है इंटरसेप्ट, जहां पे वो दोनों कर्व्स इंटरसेप्ट होते हैं. ओके, मैथमेटिकल फॉर्मूलाज बनाने के लिए यूज होता है. तो सपोज अगर हम लोग देखेंगे ये हमारी जो वैल्यूज थी ना, लेट्स टेक द वैल्यू एज, okay, what will be the quantity sold if the price is $2 and advertising is 2800. Okay, let me just take this value. What will be the quantity sold? Okay, I want to calculate this using my, not the actual observation, but using my formula. So the formula क्या है मैं आपको बताता हूं. The formula is, if I want to calculate, then it is this, okay, plus this. This is the price, right? So price का ये coefficient है, price coefficient into the price plus advertising coefficient into the cost of into the spend of advertising. ओके तो ये दोनों कोएफिशिएंट को हमको उसके साथ मल्टीप्लाई करना है, ये जो वैल्यूज आई है ना यहाँ पे कोएफिशिएंट की, हमको उनकी रिस्पेक्टिव वैल्यूज के साथ मल्टीप्लाई करना है, एंड वी हैव टू ऐड इट टू द इंटरसेप्ट, वी हैव टू ऐड इट टू द इंटरसेप्ट टू कैलकुलेट व्हाट विल बी माय क्वांटिटी सोल्ड. दिस इज माय एक्चुअल क्वांटिटी सोल्ड. तो ये फॉर्मूला क्या है इसका? द फॉर्मूला इज इंटरसेप्ट कोएफिशिएंट प्लस price coefficient into price plus advertising coefficient into advertising. ये formula, mathematical formula has been created to calculate the quantity sold. अब ये किसके लिए हमने calculate किया? When the price is $2 and the advertising spend is $2,800. Okay. Now suppose if I take all the values and put it over here, and I take this formula and drag it down. Okay, the only thing is coefficient value should not change. So I will take the B28 and convert it to B27. I need to do it, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll just put it a dollar sign. $B, $27, $B, $28 and $B, $29. $B, ये जो तीन वैल्यूज है ना, ये चेंज नहीं होनी चाहिए. ये ब्लू, रेड और ग्रीन. बाकी हमारा F36 और G36 will change in every column. So okay, my formula में वो change नहीं होना चाहिए. So that value should not change. Therefore, I will just do that and then again drag the formula. This is what my formula predicts. कि अगर $2 होता तो और एडवर्टाइजिंग स्पेंड इतना होता तो दिस इज माय प्रिडिक्टेड वैल्यू यूजिंग माय फॉर्मूला, यूजिंग माय रिग्रेशन फॉर्मूला, यूजिंग दिस कोएफिशिएंट, दिस इज व्हाट आई एम प्रिडिक्टिंग. एक्चुअली सोल्ड कितना है? सो द एक्चुअल सोल्ड वैल्यूज आर दीज, जो हमारा एक्चुअल है. सो दिस इज क्वांटिटी सोल्ड actual, or residuals is calculated by subtracting the actual and the predicted values. So predicted value is 8,523, actual was 8,500, so residual is minus 23. Similarly यहाँ पे 4,476 है, यहाँ पे 4,700 है, so this is positive 223. So ये residual is nothing but the calculation of what you predicted versus what was actual. So I hope everybody's understood how the residual values have been calculated. So you will see that हमारा difference बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, हमारा error बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, कि जब हमने हमारा फॉर्मूला डाला तो हमारा difference 23 to 23, मतलब ये values are in thousands, right? So the amount of variation which I am getting is pretty close to the actual. So if I now use this formula and I want to predict, okay, if my price is $6 and my advertising spend is $1,000, what will be my quantity sold? I can now do the prediction. अब यहाँ पे आपको जो वैल्यूज डालनी है आप डालिए और ये कैलकुलेट करके देगा आपको कि कितना क्वांटिटीज यू शुड एक्सपेक्ट, व्हाट शुड बी योर टारगेट. आपका सेल्स का टारगेट कितना होगा अगर आपने प्राइस चेंज किया और एडवर्टाइजिंग चेंज किया? व्हाट विल बी योर टारगेट मिनिमम एटलीस्ट. ओके, प्लॉटिंग जो मैंने किया है ना, वो इट इज जस्ट द प्लॉटिंग ऑफ दोस प्राइस रेसिडुअल प्लॉट के ऊपर नीचे कितना जा रहा है, हमारे जो रेसिडुअल वैल्यूज है ना एडवर्टाइजिंग और इसकी, वो कितना वेरिएशन आ रहा है उसका. ओके, नेगेटिव पॉजिटिव कितना वेरिएशन है, रेसिडुअल पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव में कितना वेरिएशन होता है प्राइस के हिसाब से और एडवर्टाइजिंग. दैट इज जस्ट प्लॉटिंग द डिफरेंस, हमारा एरर कितना जा रहा है. तो डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट राइट नाउ. ओके, दैट्स जस्ट अ ग्राफिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन, दिस विल गिव यू द एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू. तो ये कोएफिशिएंट्स हमारे इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं. दिस गिव्स अस द फॉर्मूला. व्हाट इज द फॉर्मूला? इंटरसेप्ट कोएफिशिएंट प्लस प्राइस कोएफिशिएंट इनटू प्राइस प्लस एडवर्टाइज, जो भी आपका वेरिएबल्स हैं. तो दिस कुड बी वेरिएबल x, दिस कुड बी x1, दिस कुड बी x2, माय वैल्यू ऑफ y. predicted. Why predicted means whatever you want to predict will be calculated as y predicted is equal to intercept coefficient plus x1 into x1 coefficient प्लस x2 इंटू x2 का कोएफिशिएंट. अब ये प्राइस एडवर्टाइजिंग की जगह पे आपको जो नाम डालने हैं आप नाम डाल दीजिए, जो भी आपको प्रेडिक्ट करना है प्रेडिक्ट कर सकते हैं. अगर आपके पास डेटा है यू कैन कैलकुलेट द फॉर्मूला. द फॉर्मूला इज एक्यूरेट ओनली इफ द आर स्क्वायर वैल्यू इज हाई एंड द एफ वैल्यू इज लो. द पी वैल्यू शुड ऑल्सो बी लो. ये चीजें जरा देख लीजिएगा, फिर आप बोल सकते हैं कि यू कैन हैव कॉन्फिडेंस इन योर फॉर्मूला कि यार ये मेरा फॉर्मूला अच्छा चलेगा. तो अगर आपको लगता है कभी कि इस चीज के ऊपर ये चीज डिपेंड हो रही है कि मार्केट का कुछ भी आप बोलते हैं ना कि मार्केट के अंदर ये चीज इस फैक्टर पे डिपेंड हो रही है या whatever, so you can check that, you know. So if you say that the Bombay Stock Exchange का index is based on, let's say, two other factors, GDP का या रेट या बैंक इंटरेस्ट रेट, आप कुछ भी डालिए और उसके अंदर डाल के आप एनालिसिस कर सकते हैं. Okay, I'm sorry to have exceeded my time. I will share the capital in उसका भी मैंने आपको स्लाइड वाइज शेयर कर दूंगा, डोंट वरी. एनी क्वेश्चन? मजा आया, कुछ सीखने मिला? आई होप. Just write these down things if you want to. Okay, very quickly. चलो फिर मैं ना फटाफट I will try to do the capital का ये, अगर लोगों को इंटरेस्ट है तो, बट उसमें ज्यादा कुछ है नहीं. We'll quickly do it still. Okay, so open the capital because वो आपका नाम, आपका वो फेवरेट नाम है ना, I know. So
File is being shared with them on WhatsApp.
Capital investment. So let me just open capital investment quickly. Capital investment के लिए I hope everybody has installed the solver also. जब वो इंस्टॉल करता ना तो solver भी आ गया हो.
ये 00 कर लेना इधर 47 के नीचे, बिकॉज ये सॉल्व करके आया है फाइल.
ये वाला ना?
हाँ, ये भी 00, यस नो भी 00. नहीं, 47 should be there. 47 to be there. 1 1 minus 1, these to be 0 initially.
नहीं, are you sure? 47 को
Yes, yes, yes. ये solve करके आया है ना. And all these also to be 0. All these to be 0.
हाँ, वो तो
वो values निकालनी है ना उसमें investment की.
हाँ, वो तो पता है, वो तो इन्वेस्टमेंट की वैल्यू निकालनी है. So now these are
इसको 47 रहने दो इधर कैपिटल. Constant है. हाँ, सेट है ना.
हाँ, मैं वही बोला 47 रखना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, ये तीनों भी 0.
चलो. Okay. So now what we need is we need to use the solver for this. Ma'am, you want to lead on this?
No, you continue.
Oh,
Today is your day.
नहीं, ठीक है. So what we will do is we will to format. You know ये binary integer programming कहा जाता है कि what are the decisions to be made for this problem? We need to find out whether we need capital investment to be made, yes or no. Okay. Now, so what are the constraints of these decisions? First is that the amount of capital used by the investment cannot exceed the limited amount of capital available. Okay. So जो हमारा capital available है उसके ऊपर तो नहीं जा सकता. Okay, so हमारा total capital available 50 है ना, 50 है. Okay, so this it cannot exceed 50. Now, how much capital investment can we do in? Should we invest in 1 and 2, 1 or 2? Should we invest on 3 or 4? Should we invest on only 6, 7? If 5? So if 5 means if so these are the kind of constraints which we have put. Okay, now what is the overall measure of the performance of these decisions? And the overall measure of performance is the total profit of the capital investment made. So the objective is to maximize the quantity of profit. Okay, now what I will do is I will create a name range. मैंने now name range create किया है for C5 से लेके I5 तक. This यहाँ पे मैंने select करके ना ये blue में जो है ना उसको नाम दिया है profit. This is all my profit. Okay, if I invest in 1, if I invest in 2, what will be my profit in each one of them? So what, for each of them I have calculated the profit values and stored it in an array called as profit. ये नाम मैंने दे दिया, पूरे को select करके profit नाम दिया हुआ. उसी तरह I have taken this yes no values जो yellow में है and I have given them a name yes no one word. Okay, ये मेरा एक नाम है which are just for simplicity. And my total profit ये जो डार्क ब्लू में यहाँ पे है इट इज कॉल्ड एज टोटल प्रॉफिट. फॉर्मूला लिखते वक्त आसान रहता है रादर देन यूजिंग वेरिएबल नेम्स. मतलब वो दिस इज M13, मैं M13 लिख सकता हूं बट उससे बेटर है कि आई विल यूज टोटल प्रॉफिट. ओके, सो व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू, ओके, आई एम गोइंग टू इंसर्ट अ सम प्रोडक्ट. व्हाट इज अ सम प्रोडक्ट? दिस इज इक्वल टू सम प्रोडक्ट फॉर I hope everybody knows the formula. If you don't know, don't worry, I'll tell you. The sum product is basically ये जो हमारा C8 से लेके I8 तक है. Okay, this I want to calculate only if the value is yes or no में से आता है, तो इसका sum product will be calculated by this. Okay, enter. तो ये 0 हो गया. ये मैं I'll just copy, drag this down. I can actually drag it up also. अगर मैंने उसको drag up किया ना तो उसका आंसर 47 आ जाएगा. आप देखिए. अरे मेरा फॉर्मूला आ गया. I did not give you the formula properly. Sum product of this whole row, comma, this whole row. Enter. बराबर है? So if I C7 to I7, now how do we calculate this? So suppose अगर मैं यहाँ पे yes करता हूँ 1 and यहाँ पे yes करता हूँ 1, that I want to invest in stock number 1 and stock number 2. Okay, जिनका profit है. So what I will see is that this becomes 2, which has to be less than or equal to 1. ये मेरा constraint है कि इन दोनों में मैं invest नहीं कर सकता हूँ. 1 and 2 दोनों में invest नहीं कर सकता हूँ. This value has to be less than 2. तो मेरा ये constraint fail हो रहा है. Because this value becomes 2, which has to be less than 1. 22 is less than 50, so no problem. But 1 and 2 दोनों में I cannot invest. So this constraint is failing. Suppose I don't invest there. Suppose I invest in 1 and 3 and 4. Again, ये तो 34 है, which is good. But again, the problem is I cannot, this constraint 3 or 4 wala constraint where the value has to be less than 1 becomes 2. So again, this one fails. So I cannot invest in both 3 and in 4. What if I invest in 6 and 7? Okay. So there are some, now ये trial and error करके मैं वैल्यू निकाल सकता हूं, बट इसमें अभी मेरी वैल्यू क्या हो रही है? 6 and 7 में किया तो ये सब ओके है, less than 1, less than 1, less than 0, बट ये 59 हो गया, which is great, which is more than 50. तो ये वाला कंस्ट्रेंट मेरा फेल हो गया. So when I have these kinds of constraints, then how do I calculate what are the best values which I need? Okay, so for this, okay, it is necessary to use trial and error, or we can call a we can use a feature in Microsoft Excel called as the solver. So मैं solver ऐसे complicated problems के लिए ना trial and error कब तक करेंगे, तो we can use a solver. So I use this solver. Okay, यहाँ पे मैंने उसका नाम set the objective. What is the objective? I want my total profit to be maximum. Okay, so यहाँ पे I have given that my total profit, this value जो है मेरी, जो भी उसका formula है, has to reach maximum. उसको minimum करना है या उसका कोई target value है, तो you give a target value also. So you can give a target value that I want a profit of $1,000. Whatever is the target. So you can give max, min or value. Okay, whatever target value you want. And then by changing what are the values which you want to change? So I want to change from यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक, which is nothing. So I can select the range, or या तो range नहीं लिखना है तो I can directly write yes, no. Okay. उसी तरह if I don't want to write M13, I can directly write total profit, because वो मैंने नाम दिए हुए हैं. अगर आपको नाम नहीं लिखना है तो you can directly use the. Now what I do is, okay, I can add the constraints. So my constraint क्या है यहाँ पे, that K7 to K10 is less than or equal to. Okay, let's see how do I add this. Okay, so I say K7 to K10 is less than or equal to these constraints. This is a constraint which I want to add. ये already है उधर. Okay, so ये already had. So I wanted that these values should be less than these values. So ये मेरा already है, so I don't need to add it twice. And second is that yes and no should be equal to binary values. मतलब these cannot be 0 1 से ज़्यादा. Okay, so what we have done for that is, okay, oops, sorry, I just have some mistake. I will need to delete that one. Delete नहीं हो रहा है मेरा. Yes, it is like a linear programming. It is an LPP problem, what we call it. Okay, so we are using what formula to use. Ma'am, ये change का option मुझे नहीं दे रहा. Something has gone wrong with my sheet. I don't know. But okay. Make unconstrained variables non-negative and yes and no is binary. Formula मैंने डाला हुआ है already. Okay, उसके लिए generally ना वो वहाँ पे option होता है. Like add. Hopefully क्या हो गया मेरा? क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है? Let me close this. I've got stuck now. अच्छा मेरा objective में गड़बड़ हो गई है. Sorry. My objective is this M13, right? वो problem था. Okay, and then I can just delete this. So if I want, I can add a constraint that my cell values between this to this, which is yes no range, should be bin. Bin means binary. Should be bin. I want to put a constraint that they have to be binary numbers. Okay, that means 0 or 1. So you already tha, so you can use that or you can delete it. That's okay. So I've put two constraints. Constraints for these numbers and constraints for these numbers I have set. And I'm using the method called GRG nonlinear. There is simplex LP linear programming or evolutionary. आपको जो use करना आप use कर सकते हैं. You can try it out. Okay. यहाँ पे we will work with GRG non-linear, which is faster. Okay, let's change it to simplex LP चाहिए तो let's change that. Okay, simplex आपको शायद आता भी होगा. Okay, and then we will click on solve.
So here what we are doing basically is, yes, keep solver solution. Okay. So what we are doing basically here is, there are 7 investments. So the constraints here is that capital we are giving here. So 1 or 2. So you have to select either one of them. Then from 3 or 4 you could select only one, and 6 or 7 could be selected if 5 is selected, and total investment should not be more than 50. These are the constraints. So let me repeat all the constraints again. So the total value of investment should not be more than 50. And how do you have to take this is because there are 7 different types of investments. So it should be from 1 or 2 you should select only one. From 3 or 4 also you should select one, and 6 or 7 could be selected only if 5 is selected. So among those, then it has to give the answer. So which investments should be better? So it has given here, you can see 2. From 1 and 2, it has given 1 in this case. So 2 is being selected. From 3 and 4, 3 is selected. When 5 is selected, then only 6 or 7, either one of them. So in that case, 7 is being selected. So with this combination has given us the maxi. Our objective was maximum. So this is what it has result us, and total profit has been up to 146, the value which is been given. Yes. So if you know LPP problem, you try to solve it, and then you will see that this is the result. So here by using this solver, you can get these results directly. No need to do is by using mathematical formulas and all that. So all the background programming is done in between. Just you have to put the constraints, and then you have to give is what kind of output you want, and so on.
Yes.
Profits you can also calculate also. From 2 it is 47, then 4 36. So 47 plus 36 plus 18 plus 45, so it will give you results as 146. So this is how the total profit is being calculated.
We need to conclude. I think हमें warning भी आ गई है. So
Yes.
I'm so sorry, but we'll have to conclude right now. Whatever is remaining, एक point रह गया. I will send a step-by-step process of how to do that. Don't worry. As a Word file, you can do the remaining part also. Okay, and in a couple of days, maybe in a few 2-3 days, the entire videos of all the sessions will be uploaded and sent an email to you. You all can get that email through the organizers. Please, me and Sanjeela ma'am have no control over the presentations, recordings, and all of that. That is in the hands of ICAI. We are just resource persons who are actually delivering the course. So if you have any queries regarding that, please directly communicate with the organizers. We won't be able to help you with any of the administrative tasks. Okay. So I hope all of you all enjoyed what we did, and of course there will be lots of questions and answers. But unfortunately, everybody, there are people who are working behind the scenes, and they are, on a clock. So the GoToWebinar, we need to complete it by 8:30 maximum. So we are already at 8:29. So we will have to call it a day. So thank you everyone spending half an hour more without any complaints. Ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, sir,
Yeah.
we should thank you so much. We should thank you and madam so much for a marathon series of 10 days data management, which is so crucial in not only in other sectors, IT sector, but also in accounts, audit, and finance. And particularly today's session with Excel, you have demonstrated so much that with simple Excel we can do so much. This will definitely help all participants to do our perform it in better manner. For the knowledge shared and time given over a period of 10 days. We are really sincerely thankful to Professor Asif, Rampurawala, and also Madam Professor Sanjeela, Sagar. Thank you, both of you. And it was really wonderful time. You were always frequently asking, "Are you enjoying?" I didn't mute, but we were receiving comments that yes, we are enjoying, and most of this participant waiting till end in spite of half an hour late is itself things that show that how much interest it has created and maintained. Once again, thank you so much to both of you. Thank you, sir.
Most welcome. Thank you, everyone. As I said, me and Sanjeela ma'am are not really the group owners or anything. The decisions will remain with the organizing committee of ICAI. So please communicate with them regarding any of the administrative tasks. Thank you. Have a pleasant day. Hope to meet you all in person someday when the lockdown is over. For a face-to-face session. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I'll end the session.
So it was really marathon session. I don't know how you managed, but it was more than 2 hours, and breathlessly you have delivered. It's wonderful, sir. Very wonderful.
I told you I'm an Excel evangelist. So when it comes to Excel, I cannot. I can go on for another 3 hours. But okay.
I could see
Sanjeela,
the passion. Yeah, I could see the passion with which you were driving the thing. And as I said, still participants were there till end. It doesn't happen. Normally it's 10 minutes late and most of them leave. But still they were there till end, and they were wanting it should continue. But it's we have to respect the time. Once again, thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mishra ji, end kar raha hu. Bye bye. Thank you for all your support.
Good night.
Good night.
Chalo, good night, Mishra ji.